Alright, hello everybody, and today we're going to be looking at one of my favorite openings, the Caro-Kann Fantasy Variation. It's an opening for white, it's very aggressive, and I think you could win a lot of games with this opening. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So it starts out e4, and you can only play this when your opponent plays the Caro-Kann, which is c6. Alright, and so from here you can play the move d4, and your opponent will play d5 almost every time, and you'll play the move f3, and this is known as the Fantasy Variation. So what's the point of this move? Obviously if black captures, you're going to try to capture back with this pawn, and then you're going to have this big pawn center, and you also have the open f file, and it's going to be really great to attack your opponent along this f file, as you will see. So the main line, it goes d captures and f captures, and then the best move here is e5, which opens up this queen on the diagonal and also threatens to take this pawn. But really, you don't care if they take this pawn, you're going to gambit it away. It's more important to protect yourself from this queen, so you can bring the knight out to f3, stopping the queen. And so black will most likely capture here. And you can play the move bishop c4. So now here, you're attacking this square. You're one move away from castling, and your opponent hasn't developed any pieces. So if you get this position, you're doing great. You have pretty good chances here. So the most sort of common move is knight f6. I wouldn't really say it's the best move, but more often than not, you'll see this. And from here, there's many different ways you can play this. But anyways, you're going to castle. And if they play bishop e7, you're going to bring this knight out to g5. And here already you can see these two pieces are attacking, and the rook is also x-raying the pawn on f7. So if your opponent does castle, then here you can take the pawn actually, and after the rook takes, you take again, and the king takes, and you push e5, and you're already winning a knight. So the king moves and you take, and you're up an exchange, so a rook for a bishop, and you're pretty safely castled here. Next, you're going to play knight d2 and get this knight out like this. Okay, so what if your opponent doesn't play knight f6? They could play knight d7, which is actually the best move here, I would say. And here again, you're just going to castle. They'll probably bring their other knight out. And instead of playing knight g5, you're going to play queen e1 here. This protects this pawn, as well as gets ready to move the queen out to a good square here, either g3 or h4, and you'll be able to attack the king. So it might go knight b6, and you're going to go back with your bishop. The bishop comes out, and you're going to play knight g5. It's very common to sort of pile up on here, play e5, and win this knight. So here again, but even you will have this opportunity, but it's even better just to develop the knight here to d2, because this threat, they can't really protect it that well, and so it'll still be available to you after you play this move. And the computer recommends this move, but I wouldn't worry about that. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at another move. Instead of e5, your opponent could play knight f6, but this is not a good move, I'll be honest with you. Because you have this move e5 kicking away the knight, most people are going to bring the knight to the center, and you're just going to go ahead and kick it away again. And after that goes back to either one of these two squares, you're going to bring your knight out to c3. You could bring this knight out, but it kind of gives your opponent the chance to pin it. So if you bring this knight out, first your opponent's most likely going to go here. They could go e6, but then that blocks in the bishop, and so that's a bad move. They could also go g6, And I played this a lot. I've never seen anyone go g6, maybe like once or twice, but it's really rare. So your opponent's most likely going to go bishop f5, and I've seen this plenty of times. Actually, I've gone this maybe like 10 or 12 times. And so you bring your knight out. So now, you know, they would have to waste a tempo if they want to pin that. And after they bring their knight out to, you know, d7, that's the best square for it. Then you're going to play bishop d3, and you're going to trade off these bishops. Basically, black has no choice but to take, and you take with the queen. And now, if you just look at the position, it's really great. You got 3 pawns in the middle. You got both your knights out onto their, you know, most active squares. Your queen is in the middle. It's perfectly safe here. You're ready to castle, and this bishop's going to come out. It's a really great game to play. Very easy. So, okay, your opponent's going to try to develop their bishop. You're going to castle. They're going to develop it. If they go here, don't worry about that. You just kick it away with a3, and they're just going to have to go back. So most likely they're going to just play bishop e7 in the first place. And now here you're going to bring your knight to e4. Alright, this is very important that you do this, because you're trying to get all the pieces over to the king side to attack the king. Alright, so they might castle, and you're going to play knight e to g5. And here you're threatening checkmate on this square, so they have to stop it with either f5 or g6. But either way, you're going to have a huge attack. It's going to be really easy to play. For example, they play g6. You're going to go back and actually open up this square for your bishop to come into. And, okay, the computer recommends this move, and of course you can play bishop h6 here and attack this rook. It's going to be pretty easy to play. You can always push these pawns up, get your knights in, double up your rooks, rook lift. You know, it becomes very, oh wait, whoops. It's a very simple position to play once you get some sort of position like this. It just comes very natural. You kind of own all the dark squares here, and there's really nothing your opponent can do. Okay, so what is actually the best move for black against the fantasy variation? And I checked chess base and saw what is the most common move at the very top level, and it is e6. Oh wait, whoops. e6. So here, instead of taking and sort of just going into white's plan, you strengthen the center and open up your bishop. And this is really the best way to play for black. I have seen this quite a bit, so you do have to be prepared for this. And so here I recommend the move knight c3, just backing up this pawn. Black is also opening up this queen with the move e6, so you got to be careful of that. So black's best move is to pin your knight, so now it's no longer defending this square. And here, it's very tricky to know what to do. There are several moves to play. Knight e2, that's a very safe move, but in the database, most people will settle for the move bishop f4, and I really like this move because if black tries to take and try to bring their queen over here, check, you can always play g3 and it'll attack the queen, defend the bishop, and this pawn right here won't be hanging after any sort of captures here. So it's a nice safe way to play. The bishop's very active, and yeah. So here, okay, they might capture, check. You can play g6, g3, and just to show you that this opening does work, here's one of my games in where I won in only 20 moves. So here we go. Got the fantasy variation. He took, I took, and this is where he played knight f6, and I pushed and showed you the line. This is the line I showed you. I just went with the line that I showed you. And here he did go for bishop b4, and I just ignored it. I castled. You can't play a6 here. Doesn't really matter. I just castled. He took. And then I go here, threatening checkmate. already you can see the computer saying I'm up by 5 points. And here he played g6, and I just went back here. Probably not the best move. Probably should have went queen h3, yeah, continuing the attack. But I went back here, and I was opening up for my bishop to come in, attacking the queen, and then locating itself on f6, where I can set up a checkmate here. And that's exactly what happened. He took, I took, and I went here, okay, with my rook. He attacked my queen, but here it's already mate in 5. I go here, and there's nothing he could do after this. And checkmates are on the next move. So I hope you enjoyed this chess lesson on how to play the Caro-Kann. Hopefully some of those lines you can use in your own games, and I showed you something that could be of use. If you have any questions, comment down below. Hit the like button if you made it this far in the video, and see you next time.